It's June 1st, that means it's Pride Month, and there's no escaping it, unless you're fortunate enough to be aligned with the Roman Catholic Church, and it's the month of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, which is a lot different, I think. Let's check in with our Rome correspondent, our Vatican correspondent, frankly, our European correspondent. You're not really our correspondent at all. You work for the Daily Wire, but we're going to own you for 10 minutes. Bree Dail, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Larry.
Firstly, you've been doing some great writing and great reporting, and I appreciate that at Daily Wire and also on your social media platforms. What is this story with Angel Studios and the series The Chosen? We love The Chosen here, but it looks like there's a little bit of turmoil.
Not a little bit.
Yeah,
Sadly, this has been 2 years worth of my research, and it started off actually when I ran across an article, Larry, on, a VC, a venture capital group, GigaFund, which is actually Elon Musk's venture capital group, awarding $47 million to Angel Studios, and I said, "Wait a second here, I thought they were nonprofit," and so I started to look into this. And it made me dig all the way back to the founding of VidAngel, what occurred with them, what happened with a 2020 lawsuit. And then ongoing, they went to the VCs asking for money, even though they were promoting this idea of pay it forward, asking Christians to donate to them in order to keep the chosen running.
yeah,
Well, from what I have gathered from the lawsuit that I posted on my Substack, there's a lot of corruption at the very high tops of both Angel Studios and sadly now Mormon run the Chosen. And it's Mormon run now because the president of the Chosen was the former chief distribution officer of Angel Studios. And
okay.
all the while, they're making lots of money and not telling their donors. So even today, they are still pushing the whole pay it forward. There's a lot of questions. And I came across that lawsuit, Larry, just because I dig and I dig and I dig. And I
Yeah.
had to think that there was some kind of stipulation legally, and I found it in Salt Lake City, sadly.
Now, listen, so far, Mormon theology has not crept its way into the telling of the story, at least not that I have seen. There have been
Not
rumors, there have
true.
been concerns. Oh, no, all right, tell me, what did I miss?
So it's interesting because Dallas Jenkins mentioned this when Mormons went on the social media. I believe it must have been season 3. I admit I've not seen since season 2, since all of this started to unfold. I said I can no longer promote it. Personally, I'm very disappointed in this. But so, from what I've been told, the character of Jesus quotes supposedly Moses' statement that is never found in the Bible. And here we go. We hear from the Mormons. Oh, he quoted from the book from Joseph Smith. So
Oh,
it's pretty clear. There have been people at play behind the scenes, and perhaps Dallas didn't know, but it does seem like the lawsuit shows a collaboration between Dallas and Brad Pello, the now president of the Chosen.
I'll have to track that quote down. I missed that. And I guess if you're not a member of the Jesus Christ of Latter day Saints, maybe you wouldn't
You wouldn't
notice it.
know. Yeah.
I do know that Jonathan Romy, the actor who plays Jesus, is a very devout Catholic. I think he's a member of the Knights of Templar, which is a pretty hard. That's no Knights of Columbus thing. They're a pretty hardcore devout group.
I think they're a non-denominational group, so I don't believe that's aligned with the Catholic Church. Hopefully, he'll
Oh,
be he'll come in with other of the different knights from the old times, but from the Crusades and whatnot. But I don't believe this group is, but he is a Catholic,
okay.
and I know that he has because he is a friend of mine. He has been exploring to go deeper and deeper into his faith. He was born within the Orthodox Church, and then his entire family, when he was young, came into the Catholic Church, which is not so surprising if you know his background. But he is diving deeper, and I do know that he has some individuals who have played a role in his formation. Let's keep praying for him. But he is an actor, Larry, and he's not really, I don't believe, very much involved within the corporate side of things. So it's very clear that the actors, Larry, especially during that 19 months where they were not working, they weren't paid. And so I'm sure that actors started to ask, like, what was happening? And now sadly, we can see what was happening behind the scenes in the lawsuit.
Speaking of the fact that they're actors, and we shouldn't confuse their personal lives with the roles they play, either as the savior or as the apostles. We see a couple of actors now. Our friend Mary Margaret Olahan over at Daily Signal, she has seen a couple of these actors proclaim their fealty to Pride Month and to the LGBTQ agenda. I think that the audience and the fans of The Chosen should take this into account, that we shouldn't confuse what they do in their personal lives with the roles that they play. They're not saints.
Yeah, they're not saints, and they're certainly not themselves. I think the individual who plays Little James put out a statement in support of the LGBTQ plus one, whatever else you want to add to their acronym agenda. But let's just be very clear: you're going to find that in working talent in Hollywood. But what you're not going to see, and I think where a lot of this controversy came out was. Allowing that type of thing on a Christian set.
Yeah.
You do have standards and rules that you can abide by and enforce, and clearly the Chosen came out in their Facebook page and kind of they didn't walk back it at all. They actually defended it. So with this, plus what we see behind the scenes with all of this money and lack of communication to donors and really corporate scandal, it just seems to add up. There's a lot of facade here, but in practice, not a lot of real Christian faith. And I should also add, Larry, in my article, I do make mention of an individual who is a high executive who was stranded here in Rome. That's a whole nother story, but I don't even know of a disabled individual who's been an employee in other secular companies who would be stranded without any support in a foreign country. So it just
How
doesn't make a
strange.
lot of sense. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, it's a small production company that apparently grew real fast, and they've got a lot of cleanup to do here. One thing that's disconcerting, Bree, and I will continue to watch your pretty much standalone reporting on this issue, is the fact that the producers behind The Chosen, whenever they put out press releases, whenever they talk about their crowdfunding strategies and the creation of their product, it's always sort of they utilize the language of a mission. It's not a production company. They're not making a series. It's a mission. They use Christian evangelical language to give a wink and a nod to the audience that this isn't just about making movies and making money. It's a bigger story to tell. And so, they got to square that circle, I think, if they're going to appeal to those of us who really do want to support a mission.
Yeah, and one of the things that really drew me to the series at the beginning was the story behind it. I interviewed both Dallas Jenkins and Jonathan Romy before the launch of the second season, where I did hear from Dallas about the humility that brought about this inspiration, and it does seem like there's been a 180 even in the language, even in the writing between seasons 2 and 3 when this 19-month debacle came out and a lot of this money came in. And just like anything else, when you're dealing with religion and faith, you have to walk the walk before you talk the talk. And it does seem to me that there's a lot of money being made off of the name of God, and that comes with scandal.
Real fast, Bree, because there's a lot going on in Rome with the Vatican. Sometimes I have sympathy for Pope Francis because he has to deal with his bishops all around the world with the lightning speed of social media. No pope has ever had to deal with this the way he has, and there are conflicts and disagreements among those bishops. He's put out a statement about that. What do you see here when you read between the lines?
Well, it's interesting because the Vatican actually put out a document recently about properly utilizing social media. It was really in part. Really, it was signed by, I believe, Paolo Ruffini, who's the head, the lay member who's in charge of the Vatican Communications Office. Granted, it is in the name of the Vatican, and therefore the Pope must have been aware of this before it was published.
Uh,
And it is an interesting document, a lot of words, I felt, and I personally felt too many words for the topic at hand, and especially preachy coming from another layman. But that was my own
Maybe he
my
should have
own
just
takeaway
tweeted
from
it.
it.
All right, we'll leave it there,
Yes.
but we'll come back and circle to your reporting later this month because you're doing great work. Really, no one else is doing it. Bree Dail, thanks for joining us. More to come on O'Connor tonight.